Welcome to the Redz Reviews podcast, brought to you by paperhead.com. Right now there is a promo for $3 for up to 3 months, and that is a premium promo. It does include everything on the plate, and it's about that time, so let's get on with the Red Show. Hey, what's going on, guys? How are you? It is the time of the week again. Let's do some recap action, all right? So we're looking at the MLB, the NBA, and some college, and the NFL, of course. The MLB is in the final stages, before it goes to the World Series, right? If they want to call it that this year, it's kind of a weird, I guess if it was to be a World Series, it's just going to be like small series. I don't know. Trying to find something funny to say about that. Kind of upsetting. I know the Yankees are popping off. St. Louis is popping off. Houston popping off. It's been fun to watch a lot of the games. There's been a lot of home runs, and it was kind of what we mentioned before, that there was going to be a lot of action in this because the pitchers didn't have time to tune going into the season, and so it was going to be like a kind of a hit fest. And I'm kind of upset that the Padres aren't doing well, because I'm kind of a Padres fan. I always have been. I was still am a Chargers fan, even though Spanos ruined the franchise, but it is what it is. The Padres made it through the first round, and they're up against a team that apparently is the Dodgers, right? And they're just being shellacked, and that's understandable. The Dodgers are always good. They have been good for quite some time now. And so we'll see how that plays out. I am looking forward to it. It's been really heavy action for me. There's been a lot of people betting the baseball more than anything else, unless it's a Sunday, right? And that's been kind of hard, just because the money lines and these bets, like the games haven't been as close as they usually are in the playoffs, I feel, just because of this weird season. And so percentages are off and things are off, and some guys are actually kind of sharp in the baseball. So it's been a little bit rough on those lines. But on the other hand, with the other stuff going on, there was that three-pointer that Hero shot in the NBA the other day that literally saved me a lot, just because it was a random shot that broke the spread. So if you're getting guys that are just betting the Lakers and coming in on that side, that was one of those moments where you just see like, oh, cool, freebie. It doesn't happen all the time, and it's very rare, honestly, when there's 2.8 seconds left and a guy shoots a three just to shoot the three. I guess let's just segue into the NBA. So the Lakers are one game off of being the 2020 champions. And I honestly don't know if it's going to go to a 6-game series. I feel like it's going to be a 4-1 closeout, just even though they had that rally where they came in and had some serious. They played really good basketball that round, I will say. However, I just think that because of LeBron's destiny and the way that AD is playing right now with LeBron, that it's going to be very difficult for them to overcome this. And if it did happen that way, where they overcame it and ended up being the champions, it would be LeBron would never live it down. It would be one of those things that would tarnish his legacy forever. Because if they were up 3-1 in a series and let it go down, just like when the Golden State Warriors blew their lead, that would be how it would go. So, Do they win? Probably. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate too hard on that. I know that if it does go to a 6-game series or even a Game 7, it's better overall for the coverage. But the problem is that the 2021 season is supposed to start in November, like pronto. And the situation with that is that there are guys that went home from the bubble early, right? Because they got knocked out or didn't make it into the playoff series, and they might not be as conditioned, or that maybe they're staying in condition. I don't know. And it will be interesting to see how the NBA moves forward with a 2021 season, considering that they're already late into it, and maybe they'll try and play, a little less, fewer games, and still end it in June 2021. But for right now, I'm just glad that we have the sports running all together all at once. College football, Big Ten is also supposed to start in November now, according to the rumors that are going around. I think that the majority of everything that's been happening with that, and the protests and the petitions and all the things that the parents have been putting out for these college athletes that should be able to play if they want to and sign waivers if they want to, that it's not, that there's the safety issues, they're not going to sue the school if they get COVID. That's kind of the thing, that people should have their own free choice in certain areas of this existence, especially now that the CDC has released a lot of numbers showing the mortality rates for COVID itself are very low for the age groups anywhere under 40. And there's no college football players that are 40. There's only 2 NFL players that are 40. Anyway, moving on. We're going to talk about the NFL real quick. We're going to talk about the undefeateds. The Bills are undefeated. The Chiefs are undefeated. Not surprising. The Bills are a big surprise to me. They are playing really good together. Steelers undefeated and Titans undefeated. The Titans, however, did have a postponed game due to COVID, and how that's going to play out in the future for anybody that keeps testing positive, like they're whatever, it's just who knows? Who knows how that's going to go? Cam Newton tested positive. The President of the United States tested positive. There's a lot of things going on with that whole thing that could change the dynamic of these undefeated teams. The Titans, I don't see them going undefeated in this upcoming week. I know that the game that they were postponed on was moved to the week 7, and what that means is that they're going to have a double game that week, or maybe that was their bye week. That's how they did it. They made this last week where it was postponed, their bye, moved it to week 7 instead of where it was before. So hopefully, for their sake, that they don't lose their momentum, as people would say it. And I think that this is a kind of a lesson, because I had mentioned before that the NFL hadn't really made a stink about any of these issues, right? Like where a player tests positive and then they're like, well, we ought to test everyone and cancel this game because this, that, and the other. So you look at how the Patriots responded when Cam Newton tested positive, which was just sideline him. That's fine. And that probably tested other people. There was probably some people that they didn't really mention that were positive and aren't going to mention just because they weren't showing symptoms. I don't know. All I know is that overall the season seems to be running relatively smoothly, considering the fact that there's these small speed bumps that are happening now. So let's talk about the presidential elections. I'm doing this recording right after the debate between Kamala Harris and Pence. And I will say that as far as the lines go, I don't think it'll affect the presidential lines so much. I've seen some of them bump Biden up in certain cases, and also I've seen where other polls that are coming out show Trump way ahead in different areas. And so I know that the majority of my action actually is sitting on Trump to win. And there's been guys that have had this bet or have asked for lines on this bet for months. And I don't know. I don't know what necessarily how that's going to play out. I do know that the next debate is coming up here, and it will definitely reflect those lines, in those lines, and it'll be something to definitely watch. I've had some questions if they're going to have lines on if the moderator freaks out, and I'm like, well, no, I can't generate that line. That's not a viable source. So anyway, you get players that ask for things because they're easy wins, right? And so one of the things that it actually did come up is line generation, and I asked Paperhead directly if there was a way that I could start creating lines from scratch, if there was a way, and they obviously return with if there's any viable sources outside of just one, most likely they can put it up for me, which is cool, because a lot of places won't do that. A lot of places won't even respond if you ask about lines anyway, because they don't have a lines crew. But right now, I don't have anything necessarily that I'm trying to look to build, but in the future, if there is ever something, I'm looking forward to being able to do that. I think for right now, I kind of just want to bring it back to checking on limits. What I mentioned with the baseball, I have literally cut my baseball limits so low this season just because of this weird season. And I don't say recommendations to anybody because you might have dumb players, you might have sharp players. I don't know. I shouldn't call them dumb. Square players, right? But yeah, with the baseball right now, just be very cautious. It's just so easy. There's some games that I look at and I'm like, I would bet that way. And even being a Padres fan, when they went to this round with the Dodgers, I would have laid whatever. If it was minus 400 on the first game, I would have taken the Dodgers. Just because I've been a long Padres fan, right? Like I've been a long time Padres fan, and I know they're not ready for this. So it's unfortunate. It's been probably 16 years since they've been to this round in the playoffs. Anyway, look forward to hearing from you guys. If you do, like, subscribe, and follow, leave a comment on the YouTube page, whatever you want to do. We're always around, and we'll try to respond to those things. But again, may the odds always be in your favor, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning into the Redz podcast, brought to you by Paperhead.com. For all relative promos going on right now, please check them out at Paperhead.com. Also, opinions expressed on this show are not that of Paperhead.com. And if you do like what you hear, for all the agent news coming up, please like, subscribe, and follow. We will see you next week.